What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and today I am bringing you some more Dragon Ball FighterZ ranked matches. However, this is another one of those videos where the ranked matches are kind of going to serve as more so background footage while I talk to a very special guest, and that guest is none other than Cloud805. Cloud, say what's good to the people for me.
Yo, what up, y'all? How y'all doing, man? I hope y'all been doing good.
I've been doing great personally, and you know, I think you've been doing pretty good too, based on some things that have been going on. Literally, we're going to get to that when we get to that. But yeah, so today is what, the 18th, right? It's Sunday night, and we've been watching, and Cloud's been participating in the Dragon Ball FighterZ Nationals, and I thought it would be cool to get him and maybe some of the others, you know, at some point soon, maybe if y'all want to see that, I don't know, on the channel to talk a bit about it. And so I guess one of the first things I want to ask you personally is, what are your thoughts and feelings so far on the Nationals? Are you having fun? Are you enjoying the format? And basically just what do you think of it? Because personally, as a spectator, I think it's incredibly exciting and fun to watch, but I want to get, you know, a player's perspective on the whole thing right now.
I mean, just to get the main thing out of the way, right? I know people are gonna wonder about the netcode, right? Like, yeah, the netcode is a struggle, whatever. Let's get that thing out of the way. But you know, we signed up for it. You know, day one when they asked us, you know, they told us this is how it's gonna be. This is the format. We all know how the netcode is. So outside of that, yeah, man, I think it's tight. You have all the different regions, right? The best players of each respective region, well, beating each other's ass for the sake of entertainment. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's really cool too, because we get, like, Spain, for example, gets a lot of spotlight, and I know that they're a scene that's really passionate and grinds this game really, really heavily, but they don't necessarily have the most eyes on them. And I myself am learning a lot about a lot of those players because I'm not familiar with too many people outside of Shanks. I know a bit about Calbu, but other than that, most of those players from Spain, I wasn't really familiar with, and even some of the French players. I know most of the French scene, but Silver Blades was like a player who I wasn't too familiar with. Most of the other guys, if you watch Damascus' stream, you guys know about Wanted. You've probably seen most of them. But yeah, it's a really good opportunity, I feel like, for a lot of people to get some exposure, get some spotlight, show the world what they're capable of, show what their scene is capable of. And even when it comes to some of the American players, you have people like Mamba Lamba, his full name I guess would be, and like Nitro, who haven't really been shown on a stage that's quite this big yet. So it's pretty cool, and it's really fun, like I said, from a spectator standpoint, to see all these different types of you know, play styles, team compositions, and skill levels from all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. It gives people a sense of just like competitive matches, you know, as opposed to just like seeing regular online matches, right? Like it gives you some of the best from each region, like I said earlier. So it's not the same thing as offline tournaments, obviously, but you know, it's just a crumb, right? A taste of what's to come once we go back to offline.
Right. So that being said, and that's like the thing that people are echoing the most and saying to a lot of the people watching, or a lot of their social media followings, is that this isn't offline. And so the level of play isn't going to be quite the same as offline, and some of the decision making isn't going to be the same because it's online. And some of you might not really understand just how big of a difference it really makes, and we won't get too deep into it, but when you're somebody who's used to playing the game in an offline setting, those 2 or 3 frames of extra delay, let alone anything above that, does make a pretty big difference, especially when you're somebody who's so accustomed to that different environment. But I want to ask you, is your mindset any different in approaching this? Or like, I don't know how much preparation you did or how seriously you grinded leading up to this, but like, are you just more so going into it with the idea of just having fun and trying to put on a good show? Or are you out here trying to, you know, let people know that, you know, the Cloud from the Marvel days is still out here, I'm still a killer, like I can still hang with him? Like, how are you personally going into this? Because I know some people are like, you know, it's memes, and some people are like, nah bro, I'm trying to put hands on people.
Dude, it's a combination of both, right? Like if you're invited to do something like this, you know, you might as well give it your all, right? If you're gonna do something, do it the best you can, because you know there's a lot of factors you have to consider, right? Like first, nobody likes to get washed, right?
Facts.
Nobody likes to get washed. You get washed, you get made fun of, right? Like for example, you know, like when some people got 5-0'd, right? They're like, damn, washed, bodied, whatever, right? You know, it's online, whatever, but at the same time, it's like, damn, you know, I got watched, you know, I gotta hold that L, right? But I'm also having fun with it, you know. So even like my old tourney days and the Marvel days, I wanted to win, of course, but I also had fun with it, you know. I didn't want.
Real quick, I want to ask you a question before I forget, because this is something I got brought up on stream at some point recently. So for those of you who might not know, Cloud was a Marvel beast in his heyday. You know what I'm saying? Well, back in Marvel's heyday, I should say. And you made Evo top 8 in Marvel 3. Was that not your first ever Evo too?
That was my first major, and just in general.
That's pretty sick. You ended up getting 4th, right?
Yeah.
And that was 2013, I think.
Yeah, it was a little while ago, but yeah,
That's
2013, I
kind of
got
lit.
fourth.
Imagine going to your first major, it's Evo, and you get fourth. That's kind of legendary.
Man, I still think I could have won if I landed my dropped combo, but we won't talk about that. We won't talk about that.
But yeah, I mean, and you're still out here, and I know, like, I mean, I don't really want to go there, but I'm gonna kind of go there a little bit because I mean,
shoot, go ahead, ask, man. Ask.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're no stranger to the memes of what can happen when you're, put on that stage and you're playing the game at a competitive level. I mean, your chat lets you have it about, your frequent ninth placings. So, like, you definitely have experienced what that's like. And I think that's also important to bring up because of the fact that you are participating in this. You were somebody who was invited, and you are somebody who is still at that skill level to where you can hang with the best of them. And your very first opponent in the West Coast region was none other than Apology Man, who, if you ask me, I would say is the favorite to win that region. And not only did you show that you could hang with him, you actually ended up beating him 5-3s.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I could not afford to lose that set. All right, I know you've seen the tweet. All right, for those
I
of you,
see the tweet.
Yeah. So for those of you, that are hearing this right now that may not be aware, I get ninth place a lot, right? They call me Cloud 809, Cloud 905. Any ninth
ninth
place
wonder
joke,
of the world.
Exactly, ninth wonder of the world. Any ninth place joke you could think of, I've been hit with it, right? So my man, Apology Man, felt like going to Twitter, right? Get some laughs, get some reactions from people. Try to get some numbers, and he said, "Good thing this is an 8-man bracket, because Cloud can't get ninth place." Damn, that's crazy. And look what happened, dude. This is why I never talk shit. I let the game talk for me.
The illest shit is that your pop off wasn't you going on Twitter be like, yeah, bitch, hold that, this, that. It was going back and retweeting that tweet from him and then just like letting everybody else talk for you. But that was great.
Because the thing is, dude, if you talk that mess, you have to win. You can't lose, right?
Facts.
And then he lost, and people let him have it. I let him have it on my screen. I screened right after, and I was like, "Damn, you really lost, haven't you?"
Yeah, it's crazy though because, and some people might not realize this or want to acknowledge it, but I mean, all jokes and memes aside, Apology Man has been one of the most consistent players for the game since its release. I mean, he's consistently placing top 8 after top 8 after top 8, and while I don't think he's had any like super major wins, and I think he actually missed out on top 8 Evo, but he did end up getting, I want to say, 5th place at World Finals, which is no small feat. So he's really good, and he was the highest placing West Coast player. So again, it is, like I said, most people I would think that follow the scene closely would have expected him to beat almost anybody in that bracket. But that also just goes to show how stacked that each one of these regions are, because I feel like, especially in the West Coast, everybody who's there is capable of beating each other, and I think that's something that needs to be stressed and something that not everybody understands. Because when you see a player who loses like 5-1 or even 5-0, it's like, damn, that guy's not even good. Like, how did he get invited here? But for one, some players are just that good to where they're able to do that. And another thing I kind of want to mention is that I feel as though it's important to pay attention to not only the outcome of the matches, but how the matches actually played out. Because if you take a look at, let's say Kazunoko versus B, right? Did you watch the Japan Nationals yet?
Yeah. Have
you caught every region so far?
Yes, I caught up to all of them.
All right, so Kazunoko versus B, right? Kazunoko beat B 5-0. So on paper, it looks like it was a beatdown, but the matches themselves were really, really close. Like, it came down to the wire almost every single game, where B, like, it looked like he could have or should have won. So it's like, it looks like Kazunoko just got dominated. It's like, who even invited B? But B is a phenomenal player who held his own in every single game. It's just the way the cards played out when it mattered the most, he ended up losing the games. But that's something that I think that not everybody takes note of, because like it's all fun and jokes, but I feel like sometimes people allow the jokes to cloud their judgment of a player's actual skill and things of that nature. And it's just, I don't know, for me, it's just something I want to put out there and stress to you that, like, when you're watching these matches, pay close attention to the decision making of the players, the conversions that they make, just their overall movement, their neutral, just how they react to things, and all of that, because all that plays a factor into why they are where they are and why they were chosen to be where they are. So, as I don't know, just something I'd like everybody to keep in mind personally.
Yeah. Well, one more thing you have to consider for the Japan saga, right, is they're still playing on PS4.
That is also something very important to bring up, because if you weren't aware, these nationals are taking place online. We all know the game's netcode isn't the best, and that's why it's divided up by region in the first place, right? And that's why East Coast and West Coast are separate, and that's why these different countries are separate. However, in order to get the best possible experience, the matches are being played on PC, where there's too few frames of input delay, so the connection's a little bit better. Things typically feel a little bit smoother. But in Japan, they don't actually have fighters on Steam, so they're playing on PS4, which is notably worse than playing on PC. And so they're kind of at it. I mean, I guess they're technically on an even playing field with each other, but compared to the rest of the world, their level of play is hindered a little bit in comparison to what everybody else is going to be able to do. So their performance isn't going to be their best. Like, it's already not their best anyway, even if they were on PC, but playing on PS4 just is like, you know, an extra weight on top of them, holding them back a little bit.
Oh, hell yeah, man. You know, it's funny. It's ironic because on the PC version, there's still a Japan lobby.
Is it really?
Yeah, there is.
That's kind of fucked up, actually, that I think about it.
Yeah, dude. I was like, how funny.
You know,
like,
it hadn't dawned on me until like just recently that was a thing, right? And I had thought about it myself, and I had kind of wondered if they were potentially going to do something like buy some PCs or laptops or something from like America that has the game installed on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, find some sort of way to get like the game on PC in Japan. And I personally don't know or understand why they don't have it out there. But in my own head, I was trying to think of like some sort of workaround where, like, I don't know, maybe they get like a US account on a PC, or, you know, get a laptop or computer sent to them that has the game installed, or a hard drive that has it. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know how that could work exactly, but that's something I thought of.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have seen it, man, because the level of play would have been different.
For
like,
sure.
You know, those Dragon Rushes, dude, that was like hitting Goichi and other people.
Yeah, Goichi's out here getting hit by 6 Sims and Dragon Rush. That don't really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my man would have blocked those, I promise you.
Nah, hold up.
He would have blocked those.
Goichi got mixed by Goku Black, low-key.
Yeah, I saw that.
When Tachikawa did the instant transmission to the 2M, I was like, hey, yo, mix!
Let's go. Who knows? Who would have thought that all he needed was PS4 net play, bro, and he got mixed.
Well, it's funny too, because the fact that it's online also influences some of the decisions people make and some of the characters that they play. As a matter of fact, I was just watching the Kill Sage's stream a little bit before we hopped in this call together, and you'll notice, if you guys were watching, and I'm sure you saw as well, that he started off playing Teen Gohan. Teen Gohan wasn't really putting in the work that he wanted, and he swapped out to Android 18. And at first I'm like, oh yeah, hell yeah, y'all know me, I'm excited. Hey, the Kill Sage on Android 18, I love seeing Android 18. But it was funny to me as well, because I remember at some point the Kill Sage said he wasn't going to play Android 18 competitively anymore. And again, like, he might not be taking this as like the super serious major tournament where he's grinding, you know, giving his all. I'm sure he, of course, wants to win like anybody else, but he's not taking it too serious to the point where he's not remembering to have fun. But his reasoning, he said on stream earlier, as to why he swapped out to Android 18 is because it's online. And Android 18 is much harder to block online. Like, reacting to IAD button, this shit becomes a lot tougher when there's a few frames of input delay. And so when you're trying to react to like double overhead, or, you know, IAD JL, IAD JM, especially with like Android 17 calls going on, or EX17, it suddenly becomes really hard to deal with all that. So that's why he swapped out there.
Yeah. Call 17, dude, the sun's in your eyes, pick a direction and pray.
You know what I'm saying? People ask me all the time, how do you deal with Android 18? I'm like, pray. Try to block and fail. I don't know. Yeah, your dog that back there don't sound too happy.
Yeah, no, she agrees, dude. Nah, the neighbor's dog, dude.
Nah, I feel.
Yeah, man. Android 18, dude. Even offline, she's still a menace. She hits you with the level 3, and like, great. Is she gonna go left or right? You just have to take a guess. You guess wrong, you die.
Yeah, she's one of the few characters that actually still has like true 50-50, because she gets, you know, that left right. And it's kind of hard for me. I've been working on it, but you know what I'm saying. It's really strong. It's really strong. I feel like there's also an elephant in the room we should address very briefly. I don't want to get too deep into it, especially because I know you may have a few things you want to say on the matter, and you know what I'm saying.
Baby, don't Billy,
listen. I don't want you to get too wild with it. You know what I'm saying, you trying to keep it somewhat clean around here, but
I got you.
For those of you who haven't heard, and for those of you who have heard, Chris G, who was one of the players selected to be one of the representatives for the West Coast region of America, has opted to drop out of the competition because he was very dissatisfied with the connection and felt like it was too unstable and the stuttering and so on and so forth, basically saying that he didn't want to participate in something like that and he wasn't having any fun and he didn't want to deal with it. Now, without getting too deep into it, I want to say that I feel as though I understand where he's coming from. I get how he feels. I understand why he's doing this, but I feel like the decision he's making is a bit selfish and a really big inconvenience to everybody else, and pretty unprofessional considering the circumstances, because this is a situation where for a couple of months he knew about this. He knew that this is the potential possibility, like he knew that this was a possibility, that this type of connection was going to be a thing. He knew the platform that this was going to be existing on, and he agreed to it. I feel as though if he felt like this was going to be something that could potentially make him want to drop out if things got bad, he should have declined it in the first place. And other players were reached out to, and they did decline because they're aware of this game's netcode and how poor the online is, and they didn't want to participate. So for those of you who are wondering where somebody like Sonic Fox is, or why somebody like Alioun wasn't out there representing France, these are players who presumably were reached out to. Well, I actually think it's already been confirmed that Alioun declined, and Sonic Fox, I think we can pretty safely assume, is considering they're Sonic Fox. Like I highly doubt they weren't reached out to. But exactly. If you're wondering where these players are that you would have expected to see there, odds are some of them did get reached out to and they declined. So I feel like, the opportunity was presented to him. Maybe he should have dropped out in the first place or declined in the first place, but it's what it is. All I can say is that I don't agree with the decision. I get where it's coming from, but hey, I don't know. I know you had some choice words of your own.
Oh man, okay. Let me preface with this. Like, yeah, the game's netcode's not the best, but the bottom line issue is his netcode specifically. Whatever provider he has is not good. I don't know if it's packet loss or whatever, but he just doesn't have a good connection himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's out here blaming the game's netcode, which, yeah, sure, like I said, has its own issues. But when we played and when he played everybody else, there was issues, right, with his connection. It wasn't perfect, right? Like when I played Reynold, the connection's fine.
Mm-hmm.
When I played Apology Man, it was 2 to 3 frames, right, stable. It was fine. It was good.
Right.
But when I played Chris, it stuttered, it spiked, it went up to like 4 or 5 frames. So he's out here blaming the game's netcode, which yes is an issue. But the bottom line is he doesn't have good netcode himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he came in knowing the game's netcode was bad, knowing his netcode is bad, and then he just dropped out, right? Which is just a head scratch, right? Like you had all these issues prior,
mm-hmm.
and you still decide to enter and take somebody else's spot, and then drop out after the first week.
Yeah, and I feel like the biggest issue with this is the fact that it's a big inconvenience to the tournament organizers, everybody involved, you guys, the players as well, because the format of this whole invitational is round robin, which means every player is supposed to fight every player. So one week Chris G fights Reynold, then the next week he would have fought, I don't know the exact order, but just for example, he would have fought Apology Man, the next week he would have fought Cloud, the next week, and so on and so forth, until every player has fought every player. So with one of those players dropping out, it's like, okay, now they have to rethink how they're going to do this, and then how do they make it fair for somebody? Do they replace it with somebody else? And then if you do replace it with somebody else, do they start with a disadvantage? Do they just get Chris G's score, despite the fact that maybe they would have done better if they were there originally? How do you decide who gets in? Is it by popular vote? Is it by some other result? And then how do you make that okay with like the other regions? You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot that goes into it, and I just feel like it's a pretty selfish decision.
Headache.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a kind of selfish decision that, I mean, no one can really stop him from making, and it doesn't have a simple solution for those who have to figure out how to work around it. So, yeah. That aside, you want to say something?
Well, I was just gonna agree, because sure, whatever, you could have your gripes with the company and their netcode, right? But
Mm-hmm.
at least, at the very least, right, like they're trying to do something during COVID as opposed to just canceling the whole tour, so they're going out of their way to give the fans something, right, instead of nothing, so they set this up, 8 players agreed, right, from each region. They set all this up, they gave people jobs like Damascus, Tyrant, the commentators, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing all this for the community. You can say what you can say what you want about the company, but you can't say that they're not doing anything for the game.
Right.
Whatever, they're not updating the netcode. It sucks, but they're doing something.
They are
right?
currently making the best of a bad situation, if nothing else. And I know I, for one, am very grateful for what they're doing, providing us this content. I'm grateful for all the commentators involved, all the organizers. I'm grateful for the players who put on this performance for us. So shout out to you as well as everybody else who's participating and duking it out and, you know, enduring through this netcode. Which, and again, I can't stress enough. I know we keep bringing it up, but like, to those of you who have only ever played online, you just might not understand how much of a difference it makes, and I get that, but just trust and believe it does. Listen, matter of fact, you can take it from me, right? I'm not somebody who's accustomed to playing offline on a regular basis, right? And I'm not exactly a pro, and by not exactly pro, I mean I'm not a professional. I'm not on the same level of these guys. Which, by the way, I just want to make a quick mention, because I've had honestly dozens and dozens of people ask me if I'm participating or why I'm not in it. And the short answer to that is it's an invitational, so you had to be invited by them in order to participate, and I'm not good enough. I'm just not skilled enough for them to ask me. No. See, if you start gassing me up, I'm gonna have to deal with this in the comment section, right? I'm not saying I'm not decent at the game, but what I am saying is that the people who are there are people who have proved themselves in the past, people who have shown some sort of results online during, you know, this year, people who have put themselves on the map and have shown what they're capable of. I might be a decent player in ranked or whatever, but it doesn't compare to what other people have accomplished and what, you know, the players who were chosen have shown that they can do. Even if I can take a game here and there off of people, I wasn't somebody who was going to be selected for this. You know what I'm saying? I have a long way to go before I would even be acknowledged for an event like this. But that being said, getting back to what my original point is that even at the skill level that I am, there was a point in time where I was at Rhymestyl's house. I went to go, you know, visit him on vacation or whatever, and we played Dragon Ball FighterZ offline, right? And, you know, I'm not somebody who consistently takes Dragon Rush all the time, you know, in my ranked matches. I've gotten a lot better at it now, but this was like several months ago. Like, this was last year, actually, I guess, because this was before the pandemic and everything. And when I was playing with Rhyme, I broke every single Dragon Rush that entire time I was at his house. Every single match we played, right? it felt great, but he was not able to get a single Dragon Rush on me the entire time I was at his house. Over the course of several days, every time we played, not a single throw. And that's not for me to flex, that's for me to let you guys know that, that's for me to tell you guys that even somebody of my caliber, which isn't very high, saw a drastic difference in my performance by playing offline. You know what I'm saying? My reactions turned out weren't that bad. my defense was significantly better, and this was in the past when I wasn't even as good at, you know, breaking Dragon Rush. So I just want to throw that out there as well. Anything you'd like to add to that?
I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the head, dude. Like, offline and online are night and day, right? When split decisions matter, you know, like one frame from breaking a Dragon Rush to getting hit by a Dragon Rush that could kill your character matters, right?
Right.
Yeah, all these little quick, you know, like quick time events, if you will, right?
Real talk though.
Yeah, they all matter. But, you know, unless you play offline, you never realize how big of a difference it makes, you know, because people are locked in to being online warriors, and it's okay. It's okay, you warriors. I was molded by online and Marvel 3. I've been there. I get it.
Hey,
don't come at me.
And then you made top 8 Evo.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I mean, you could even argue you're an online warrior now. You're a streamer and content creator, YouTuber, and that. But I see you recently got sponsored, by the way. Shout out BDG. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
And then you put in that work.
Yeah, man. But you know.
Yeah. Go on.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but yeah, I for one am grateful for, you know, the opportunity that they have presented all these different players, all these different people who've been able to get some sort of jobs like the commentators and such. And I'm really excited for it all, and I'm enjoying the content. And this is going to be spanning over the course of like the next 7 weeks, I believe, until the end of November. And then the top 4 players from each region will then face off in a playoffs, you know, kind of bracket where it's a little complicated to explain, I think, but basically like whoever is like number 1 from like the top 4, they immediately get put in grand finals. The second place top rank from like the round robin series is automatically placed in semifinals, and then the 3rd and 4th ranked players have to face off each other in the first match. Then the winner faces rank number 2, and then the winner of that match faces rank number 1. I know that might sound a little bit complicated, but it is what it is. It's kind of an odd format, but I think it's interesting as a spectator. I don't really know how the players feel about it, but it's definitely entertaining to watch, if nothing else, for us. So
hey man, I'm not complaining, dude. Stuff like this, you know, however bizarre it is, helps keep the game alive.
For sure,
right?
for sure. Like it's definitely, and that's another thing is like, because people who don't play our game, right, and that goes for every fighting game, but people who don't play your fighting game are always trying to tell you that your fighting game is dead, your fighting game is dying, your fighting game is whack. Dragon Ball is still out here alive, well, thriving, growing. Thousands of people are playing it every single day. Thousands of viewers for all these tournaments. Hell, even our own streams are exploding and still growing. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just goes to show. I mean, my channel is still existing and still growing. So people are clearly still coming to the game, playing it, and enjoying the content. So.
Yeah, man, it's tight, dude. It's like these little things, right, that matter that people, don't really think about too much in the grand scheme of things. Like if dev support were just to be cut, like let's say they stop updating the game, right? No more new characters, whatever. They let the series and the sagas go. Like, yeah, sure, the game will survive by it being Dragon Ball alone, but interest would definitely decline.
But fortunately, it doesn't seem like we're gonna have to worry about that.
Because
they're continuing to support the game with both content and events, so it's really dope. But I think that'll just about wrap things up. I think we've talked for long enough, so I just want to end things off by saying I'm very proud of your performance personally. It was really dope to see you do so well, and I'm wishing you the best of luck in the rest of this tournament, in the rest of the event. And I'm ready to see you knock some heads. Any closing thoughts or statements you want to say to the people? Let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me on my Twitch. It's Cloud_805, right? My YouTube, it's Cloud805. You catch me there. Yeah, support the boy Lotus. Sub to this man. Subscribe to this guy. You already know he's the boy. What's there not to like about this man? He loves anime and plays Dragon Ball.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, that'll pretty much do it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all the awesome content I put on bring you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all of today. And remember, let the capital swing the bad. Later.